So it's Jeb without a doubt. So why are donors still looking? Presidential historian Doug Wead says it's all about having the look. And Doug, there's certainly something to it, because I was talking to a number of donors. I'm kind of a big deal, so they gravitate to me. And to a man or woman, what they were saying, all kidding aside, is things like looks and how you comport yourself in public matter to us, Neil. They matter how you're going to look as president on the world stage. So I was thinking of that in Chris Christie and the famous cowboy owner's suite, dance. And I'm thinking, does this equal presidential comportment, or are these guys looking at something I didn't see? What do you think?
Yeah, it's very true. Malcolm Gladwell wrote that book, Blink. People make quick decisions, and it's very sad. But unfortunately, they make quick decisions, most people, about who will be president. And so the handlers make sure that their candidate looks as presidential as possible. Most people watching us right now are not wearing suits and ties, but if you and I didn't, we wouldn't be on TV very long. You got to look the part.
Indeed, some of my viewers aren't wearing anything at all, which is a whole other story. One thing I thought of, though, talking about how appearances can change your impressions. I think when a young Massachusetts senator named John Kennedy went up against Richard Nixon in a presidential debate, many doubted, I guess, whether he had the gravitas for the job or the experience for the job. Yet on the same stage with Nixon, he came out okay. Ronald Reagan, much the same. 20 years later with Jimmy Carter, that he was not quite the crazy cowboy the media portrayed him to be, or certainly Carter portrayed him to be. What do you make of that, and how important making a convincing image on a national stage is?
Yeah, you're very, very right. And we didn't mention FDR, but FDR, as you know, couldn't even walk. But he would effect this walk to the podium at the Democrat National Convention, and it was planned and choreographed well in advance. He'd use his upper body strength and his braces on his legs, and then they would post someone at each stage along the walkway to the podium. It wasn't on TV, but it was shown in newsreels in the movie theaters. And Jimmy Roosevelt was one of those people, his son. And he said afterwards that he had bruises all over his body where his dad would grip him as he would effect this walk to show that he could walk. And you mentioned Kennedy, looked tan, playing football, but he was in great pain.
Absolutely.
And was ill. So it's very important how they look, and they know that. They have to have the look of leadership. Christie's got to win at the polls. He's got to lose on the bathroom scales if he's going to be president.
That means that by that man, Winston Churchill would have never made it. And he was a different type of character altogether. So how is
it was
that?
Radio. It was radio.
It was radio. You're absolutely right. But I'm wondering today, the media is very unforgiving on all these plastic shallow issues. Why I'm doing a segment on it right now. I'm wondering then, of the presidential tier that you've seen, without giving away much, Doug, who is going to have the most uphill climb in that sense, trying to convince these donors and these others for whom appearance means a lot, fairly or not, they're going to have a tough sell?
Well, it's a very unusual time. It's still early. So you have Rand Paul wearing jeans with a suit coat. He's appealing to young people like Clinton did early in his campaign. Hillary Clinton, you have already, we're hearing, she's got to have a spine like Maggie Thatcher, but she's already come off as a little caustic and tough and shrill in her earlier years. So they're now going to try to morph her into a kinder Golda Meir, your grandma, a kindly, wise person. So they're crafting those images now, but it's tough to find one person who looks like the president this early. It's always that case before they go into the White House. No, you're right about that.
But sometimes I think of Ronald Reagan, that he didn't seem to care what people thought of him. I mean, he says, I'm a right wing, I'm a conservative guy. This is what I am. This is who I am. I wear a suit everywhere I go. I wear a jacket in the Oval Office. In other words, that this was his persona. And that was it. Now, I'm not denying the fact he was an actor and very good at messages and all the rest. But how important is it, and how forgiving are Americans if the guy or the woman they're looking at just says, accept me as I am, warts and all?
I think that they can be unforgiving. They can dress the way they want to, but they expect you, if you're going to be my leader, to look the part. And Reagan knew that, and he understood that.
Interesting. Doug, we'll have to see what... I want to pick your brain off there because I think you just held back a lot, but that's because you're a gentleman. Doug Wead, historian extraordinaire. All right, in the meantime,